Interior, Dulan Prison. Information Room Day. The information room is bright in a way that makes every sentence leave a stand. Lin Zhichen sits at the monitor bank with two phones already spread out. Puding and Vino stand before the desk. Each has been offered a chair. Wang stands by the cabinet. The room has arranged itself around him without an impediment. Lin Zhichen said, "You add a chartered vehicle now to the cold storage log." Puding says, "A vehicle arrived at Bank 2 at 23:42 hours." Wang said, "A vehicle. So dangerous." Puding says, "A mortgage. Not on the sheet." Lin signs on the phone forward. Lin Zhichen said, "If you had a safety concern, you should have the escalator immediately." Wang says, "And now you're writing no more deliveries like the evidence." Vino keeps his eye on the desk, a warning in the stillness. Lin Zhichen, "This is not cold. This is not core. This is a work floor." Lin's face does not change, which how he shows anger. Lin Zhichen saying, "Officer Marmudu countersigned your log." That is Puding. Lin Zhichen says he will answer for the classifications. Puding says, He was not the one who wrote it." Wang says, "So you are volunteering to correct the record?" Puding looks at the phone, trapped with clean margins. Vino starts to spring. Wang kills it with one look. Lin Zhichen says, "Sign here that future irregularities go to your shift. Date before the written entry." Puding says, "That makes the log later than the event." Wang says, "That makes the log useful." Puding does not sign. On the monitor behind Lin, the bay camera live, empty, glowing with nothing to prove. Exterior, Dulan Prison. Outer parking lot, dusk. At the shop, the parking lot is mostly wind and all dust. Morimoto walks toward his scooters with injured things and the expression of a man's avoiding sorrows. Puding catches the still carrying the unsigned phone in his bag. Puding says, "What do you sign this?" Morimoto says, "Because I was there." Puding says, "They are using your name." Morimoto says, "Then get uses. This is why all office gives breaks." He locked the scooter seats, takes out the small black packet notebook, and hands it to the Puding. Puding said, "What is this?" Morimoto says, "A place where face arrives before the officer. It didn't." Puding opened it, dates, times, plane numbers, shorelines, no opinions. Morimoto said, "Do not write fear. Fear makes grammar too large." Puding says, "If it gets found?" Morimoto said, "Then write boring enough to that finding is disappointment. Then write boring enough that finding it disappointment. We'll look back at the prison wall. You knew about the trucks." Morimoto said, "I know about wing. I know about winch. Doors rattles when it is not windy." He closed the scooter seat. Morimoto said, "You want to fly? Good. Then wait first." He said, "Wait." He said, "Every fact you keep there as a fact. Carry only can live later." Puding calls the notebook and put it in his chest pocket. Morimoto rides away without waiting to see if the lesson made him feel better. Interior, as a ground school, simulator coordinator, night. The coordinator outside the simulator is quiet enough to make machinery sound like money. Fabian stands by the half-open door with a tablet. He does not look at the time. Packet rides in the jackets, hair tied black too tightly. Fabian says, you can still live. Peggy says, that is not helpful. Fabian said, this is honest. Inside dog simulator, the left seat weighs like an accusation. Peggy says, no century, no scenario. Fabian says, no weather, no failures, no hero. He shows the tablet basic power up / no motion / audio low. Fabian says, you do not have to win tonight. Stay in the seat. Peggy looks at him, not grateful, words understand. Fabian says, if you need the door open, it always open. Peggy says, leave it have. Fabian stays inside. Peggy enters. Interiors as a ground school simulate night. Only necessary lights, the screen are black. The cockpit is not an airplane, and her body does not care. Peggy sits left seats, her hands stopped half an inch above the master switch. Fabian stays outside the door frame, present, not inside. Fabian says record. Peggy says for the student. He starts audio recording on the tablet. Peggy says, before started, she just unlocked it. Her voice is flat enough to stand out. Peggy says, bells and harness fastened. Her breath tightens on the last word. Fabian's door. Peggy says, open enough. This is not checklist item. Deny you this. Peggy says, master switch. Her finger frozen. A tiny electric comes from somewhere. And the building becomes too close to a warning tone. Fabian does not move toward her. Fabian says, still in the seat. Peggy's jaws works on. Peggy says, stop recording. Fabian stops it. She sits there, door half open, no crying, no victory, just not leaving. Interior Dulan prison, locker room, night. The locker room is empty. The exhaustive fan glanced overhead like the bag frozen enough. Pudding opened his locker and stopped. His flight bag is unzipped. Index card spares inside, not destroyed it. Rearranged it. On top of the red tag tied into the tie knots around the cold storage phone. A clean message, childish enough to deny, precise enough to walk. Vino enters, sees Pudding's face and closes the door behind him. Vino says, what happens? Pudding knights the cake carefully, too carefully. Pudding says, someone check my checklist. Vino sings the phone. Vino says, don't take that home. Pudding says, they already did. He opened Maridu's pocket notebooks and writes. Locker opens the tag tied to the cold storage phones, not damaging. Vino said, you are making a dirt diary for people who hate reading. Pudding said, then I will keep it short. He puts the notebook in his chest pocket, zips and bag, and shoulders. Vino is still going to the classroom today? Pudding said, 4. Vino does not pressure him. He only watched Pudding crazy the bag like it has become heavier and more useful. Okay, continue. Interior Pudding's room's night. A small room hang out old cell phone, handphones and the new pocket notebooks. Direct pinned down to the corner of the checklist. Pudding puts on headphones. On his phone, an audio file from Instagram's training. He pressed play. Faggy voiceover. Before start, he just unlocked it. Pudding writes it by hand, not pretty, usable. Pudding always over. Bells and harness fattens. He writes, looks at the pocketbook books. The start at the second comment. Fast only. Time, place, person, scene. The two systems sit on the page together, airplanes and discipline and pleasant survival. His phone buzzed. A message from Vino. Vino saying sleep is also procedure. Pudding almost smiles. The audience continued. Peggy voice over, model switch. The recording cut off. Pudding waves Headphones on, hearing the silence she left in the file. She writes one more line. Stay in the seat.